everyone, I hope you're well and keeping safe. You're welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time, you're welcome. This is Donlarrie, and on this channel I upload sewing tutorials and pattern drafting. Today's tutorial shall be the making of an off-shoulder bodice with an illusion neckline. I made a tutorial on the pattern drafting and so many of you requested for the sewing tutorial. So today I'll be showing you guys how you can sew your off-shoulder bodice with an illusion neckline and how you can achieve a neat finishing. Before we jump into today's tutorial, guys, I'm so excited to let you know that my website is now live. Donlarrie.com is live. I have courses for beginners, intermediate and advanced learners. If you would like to learn more about pattern drafting or you want to upgrade your pattern drafting skills, I have courses there. I'll put the link down in the description box and I'll also link it up here so that you can check it out. If you're yet to subscribe to my channel, guys, don't forget to do so, and also remember to click on the notification bell so that anytime I upload a new video you will be notified. Without further ado, guys, let's jump straight into today's tutorial. To get started, we're going to be working on the pattern that we drafted earlier in the previous tutorial. If you're yet to watch that tutorial, I'll put the link down in the description box so that you can do that, and by watching that tutorial you will understand what you're going to be doing in this tutorial much more better. So as you can see here, we have the front pattern, we have the back pattern, and also we have the sleeve pattern. So just like I explained in the previous tutorial, so let's go over this one after the other. So this is the front pattern and this is the center of the front pattern. So this is the center of the front pattern, and just like I explained in the pattern drafting tutorial, that if you are making yours a normal bodice, you don't need to cut it out like I did here, but because we are making an off shoulder, we are going to be separating this from this part. So if you want to make your own a normal bodice, you're still going to follow the same sewing process. So what you're going to be doing different from this is that instead of cutting this part, you're not going to be separating it from the yoke, and you will have the full part from here down to this part for your center panel. So but because we are making an off shoulder pattern with an illusion neckline, we're going to be cutting off. So what I cut off from the upper chest line is 2 inches. So this depends on how low you want it. So I want it 2 inches above my upper chest line, and that is what I did here. So after cutting that out, this is the front. So you will now go ahead and add your seam allowance round your pattern, because during the pattern drafting we did not add any seam allowance. So at the upper part of this center panel, I added 1/2 inch seam allowance round the pattern, as you can see it. And also for the other panel, other middle panel, I also added 1/2 inch seam allowance round it. So this is the side panel, and I also added 1/2 inch seam allowance round this, and we've added the seam allowance to the side, so you don't need to add extra seam allowance. And this is what we have for the front. So this is the back pattern, and for the back pattern also we have the yoke, which we cut out because we are making an off shoulder pattern. So as you can see, this is the yoke, and we've separated the yoke. So if you're making yours a normal bodice, you're going to be needing this yoke. So this is the yoke for the back, and this is the back pattern. So I also added seam allowance round it, as you can see it, and we've added the seam allowance while we are drafting the pattern. And this is the side panel for the back, so I added 1/2 inch seam allowance round it as well. And also you will need to add your joining allowance, because we're going to be joining this maybe to your peplum, to something else, to make a gown. So you will need your joining allowance at the waist, which I've already added here. So this is the sleeve. So for the sleeve, you will also add 1/2 inch seam allowance round the sleeve. So for the sleeve now, you're going to be cutting out 2 pieces for the sleeve, one for the right, one for the left, and you will also cut out 2 lining for it. So for the sleeve now, you will cut out 4 pieces. So I'm using the same satin fabric for the main fabric and the the lining. So I have 4 pieces here for the sleeve, the same thing. For the back, we are going to be cutting out 2 pieces for the side panel, and you will cut out 2 pieces of lining as well, so which I've done here. So for the center panel of the back, you will also cut out 2 pieces for it, so I've already done that. And I also cut out 2 pieces for the lining. This is the front. For the front also, the side panel of the front, you're going to be cutting out 2 pieces for the side panel and 2 pieces for the lining. I've already done that. And this is the middle part. So for the middle part now, you will also cut out 2 pieces for the middle part and 2 pieces for the lining. This is the center panel. For the center panel, you can use a different fabric from what you are using for the main body. So, and I'm using a net material, as you can see it. So for this one, it depends. You can decide to add a lining to this. You can also decide to make it without the lining. So it actually depends on how you want it. So for the purpose of this tutorial, I'm not going to be adding any lining to it. So if you want to add a lining to it, all you need to do is just to cut out exactly what you have here, so for the lining. And also, if you want to give it a little bit of structure, you can go ahead and iron an interfacing, fusible interfacing to either the lining or the main fabric. So just cut out exactly what you have here and then you iron it. So let's start assembling the fabric now, then we move on to sewing it. To assemble the fabric, you're going to be needing your pins, and then before we separate this, we're going to be placing some notches so that everything aligns together when we're sewing it. So to place the notches, you're going to be notching. So I will start from here. You can see we have the upper chest line on all this pattern paper, and then we're going to be notching all of these so that we don't get confused. So I'll just place a notch here. So you notch here, you notch the upper chest line, you notch the bust line, then you also notch the waist line like that. And also on this one, you will notch it at both sides. Then you also notch it on this one. So I've already notched all this, and then we're going to be assembling this now, and we're going to be doing the lining separately and the fabric separately. So we're going to set this aside. So we're going to pick this. So this is what we have now, and then we're going to be joining this side to this side, this side to this side. You will do the same thing to the lining. So I'm just going to place it on it, and then where we notched earlier, you make sure you align the notches together. So can you see that? So make sure where you notch is aligned together. So you do the same thing to this other side. So as you can see it, I've pinned it down, and this is what we have. So the next thing is to go to the sewing machine, and then you join it since you've pinned it down, so you don't need to worry. And then you're going to join this through to this part. So I'll just pin it down over here like this. And then you do the same thing to the other side. like this. You do the same thing to the lining. For the back, we are also going to place some notches on the back also. So I'll just place the notch on the bust line, just the bust line. And then we assemble it. Then you make sure the notches are lined together like this, and we're going to be stitching it from here, following the shape. So you stitch it through to this point. Then you do exactly the same thing to the lining. For the sleeve, so we have right side facing each other, right side facing each other. So for the sleeve now, you're going to be stitching it both at the upper part and at the down part. So I will go ahead now and do that, and I will show you what next. I've joined it together, as you can see, just the way I explained earlier. So I've joined the side and the middle panel for the front together. So this is what we have, and I've also done the same to the lining. So whatever you do to the fabric, you do it to the lining, and then this is what we have. So this is the second part of it. Can you see that? So this is what we have for the front. So we can go ahead now and iron it. So I'll go ahead and iron it, and then this is what the back looks like. So this is the back after joining it, and this is the back lining. So this is what we have here. Can you see that? And then this is what we have for the sleeve. So make sure you notch all this curved part, and then we're going to be turning the sleeve to the right side. I've given it a good press, as you can see it, and now you should be aiming at achieving a perfect and neat finishing, and that is what we're going to be doing now. So next we're going to be attaching the yoke part of the front, which is this one, the center panel, and we're going to be attaching it to the main bodice. So like this. So what we're going to be doing now is to, you remember we notched it earlier, so it's not that visible because this is a net fabric, but just make sure you can place your pattern paper on it again just to be sure. And also for the this upper part of the net, all I did was that I just fold it into two and I stitch it. So this is what we have for the front. So if you are lining it, just place your lining on it, stitch it, then you turn it and iron it. So this is what I've done here, and we're going to be attaching it to this part. So what we're going to be doing now is to, so let's start with this part. You can see the shape. So we have the curved shape. So just place it on the side you want to start first. So you place it on it, and then you're going to be needing your pin at this point. So let me turn it. So we're going to pin it down and make sure where you notch are lined together. So we pin it down, pin it down, pin it down, pin it down. So you can go ahead now and stitch this down, especially if you are a beginner, but if not, you can just place the lining on it. So place the lining on it, make sure the notch part of the lining and the notch part of the fabric are lined together. So I'll just place it, and I'll be taking off the pin and pin it again. So I will take the inner pin and then pin it again. So this is the notch part, make sure it's aligned, pin it again like this, and then you will go to your sewing machine, then you stitch it down like that. So I will go ahead and do that, and I will show you what next. So this is what we have. Can you see that? So next we're going to be attaching it to the other side. So you do the same thing that we did to this side. Place it together, align it together, and then you also place the lining on it, and then you join it. So I will go ahead and do that. And also to the back. So this is the back. Place the right side of the lining to the right side of the fabric. Do the same thing to the other side. Then you're going to stitch it at the neckline and also at the zip area. This is what the front looks like. So can you see that? And this is what the wrong side looks like. So this is the back. So you will sew the neckline and the zipper area. The next thing we're going to be doing is to attach the sleeve. So to attach the sleeve, we're going to be attaching, we're going to be working on the front first. So this will go with this will go with this. So we want to achieve a neat finishing, so you need to pay attention to what we're going to be doing now. So I'll pick the sleeve now, and then I'll make sure this seam line, place the sleeve like this. You can pin it down if you want. You can pin it down first, or you can just fold the lining on it. So the sleeve will now be in between the lining and the main fabric. So make sure it's aligned together, and then we're going to pin it down. So pin it down just to secure it like this, and then so the sleeve will now go round the armhole curve. Then you place the lining and then you pin it down also. So can you see that? So I will just pin it down, and then you will pin down the lining and the fabric at the armhole area like this. So we're going to stitch it using the 1/2 inch seam allowance. Stitch it down to the under the arm, and then you will do the same thing to the other side. This is what we have. So can you see that? So this is what it will look like after joining it with the back. So next we're going to be attaching the sleeve to the back, and then you do the same thing to the back. So you place the sleeve in between. So place the front and back together, right side facing each other, and then your sleeve will go in like this, and then you fold the lining on it just like we did for the front, and then you will stitch it from the neckline through to the under the arm. You do the same thing to the other side. So this is what the armhole area looks like, both at the front and the back. So can you see that? So I'll go ahead now and do that to the back, and I will show you what next. Okay guys, this is what we have. I've joined the sleeve to the back also. So this is what we have. It's looking pretty already. So this is what the inside looks like. So this is the back. So can you see the inside and the outside? So we are nearly done. You can go ahead and attach the zip first before you join it at the side. Okay guys, I've fixed the zip as you can see it. So this is what the back looks like. So can you see how neat it is? And this is what the front looks like. So the next thing we want to do now is to join the front and the back together. So let's turn it to the wrong side. So what you want to do next is that you make sure the two are lined together over here. So the lining together, the fabric together like this, and then you're going to use your seam allowance. So like this. So line it together, fabric together. So you go ahead and use your seam allowance to join it from the waistline of the lining through to the armhole, and then through to the waistline of the fabric. So I'll go ahead and just stitch it straight down. And another method is this. If you don't want to stitch it straight down, another method is this. So you can place the two together. You bring the lining of the front or the back place it on it. So if you are using this method, you will have the lining, the two lining together, the two fabric together. So like this, make sure the two are lined together, and then you will go ahead and stitch it using your seam allowance. So you assemble these four together, and then you just stitch it straight down. So whichever method you prefer. So I will just use this straight method. I will make sure that the two are lined together here, and then I will just stitch it from the lining or from the fabric, whichever one. I will just stitch it using my seam allowance down to the other side. So you do that, and you do the same to the other side. So I will go ahead and do that, and I will show you the final look. So guys, this is what we came up with. So this is what the front looks like, this is what the back looks like. Then let me turn it to the inside. So this is what the inside looks like. Can you see that? Can you see the side? And this is the back. So all you need to do now is to go ahead and attach whatever you want to attach to the waistline. If you are attaching a circular pattern, go ahead and do that. And if you are making a gown, just go ahead, trim the waistline, and then you attach your skirt to it. So we've come to the end of today's tutorial. Thank you guys for watching till the end. I hope you find it helpful. If yes, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Leave your comment down in the comment section. Kindly share, and if you are yet to subscribe to my channel, kindly do so, and I will see you guys in my next tutorial. Have a wonderful day. Bye.